So good morning, everybody. Today we're talking about situational presentation, which is one of the approaches or one of the frameworks of teaching grammar. Before we start that, let me ask you one question. And in the chat box, I need one word to tell me what you think the word context is. What's the context in teaching? Have you heard the word context before?
Sorry, we lost you just there.
Yeah, you're cutting out.
Okay, let me change the router I'm using. Is my connection okay now?
Yeah, right now it's fine, but some
Yeah, it was
a bit patchy.
I changed the router. I joined another network I have at home just in case. So what about now?
I hear you okay. Your screen's like half glitching, but I can hear you.
Okay, so if you can hear me better now, type one in the chat box. Okay, good. Lovely. So before we start talking about the situational presentation framework for teaching language, I'd like to remind you with the meaning of the word context. What is the context in teaching? Can you provide me with one word in the chat box that means context? Well, we have different definitions here, different synonyms.
Text.
Oh. Colby and Cole. Thank you, because the word context is some kind of a synonym to the word topic or theme of the day. The topic or the theme. It's a fancy word, a fancy Celta word that means topic. So if I tell you present simple, is this a context? Yes or no?
Did you want us to type, Mohammed, or? Okay.
So if it is a no, what do we call that? Like, what's the Celta name for the present simple tense?
Grammar.
Target language.
Yes, the Celta name. Thank you, Colby. Say that again.
It was Julia who said it.
Target language, is it?
Excellent, Julia. So what are some different ways of setting the context? Because every kind of lesson, doesn't matter what the target language is, what type of lesson it is. Every lesson, we need to set the context in the beginning. How do we set the context in the beginning? Can you suggest some ways? Like you can just use your mics. You don't have to type in this time.
Is it the lead-in?
In the lead-in, yes, we set the context. We have some different ways, some varied techniques in order to set the context.
Conversation.
Okay, this is one thing, like we discuss things or we let the students discuss things together, like a question about the topic or two.
Pictures.
Okay.
like a little story. Oh, what's it called? Anecdote? I can't say the word.
Excellent. You said it correctly. Good job. What else? Let me show you. So we have, as you said, pictures or visuals like videos, board drawings. We can also use realia or real objects if the level is like elementary or starter, like lower levels, we can use real objects to start the lesson or to set the context. As Colby said, an anecdote or Julia. Miming, like using your body language or gestures. And a discussion or a dialogue with you give the students a question or two and they discuss that. So this is how we can build the context. You can choose one way or two for the lesson, but of course you're not gonna do the 6 options. Like one option, you just vary the technique. You're teaching 6 times. I think you taught 3 or 4 out of your teaching practice. So you can try some different techniques in becoming teaching practice. So do we use more than one for each lesson, or one technique is enough?
One technique is enough.
Do you agree with that, everybody? You can just nod.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. Good job. So the first task we have today, we have some structures or some tenses here. How many sentences do we have?
Or
Good job. And with your partner, I'm going to send you to breakout rooms like 3 and 4 because we're 7. You can just add some facts about these sentences or tenses. You write the name of the tense or you write the name of the structure. You don't have to be right. This is not a test. This is just like brainstorming. And what the context is and how we build it. So let's do one together. Let's do the last one. What's the name of the structure? What are you gonna put in the first column?
Past tense.
perfect.
No, this is I wish. This is a structure we call I wish.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
What comes after I wish and so on? This is just I wish or the wish structure. This is how grammar books call it. And what's the context?
School?
This can be a context. Studying can be your context. Like present wishes in general can be your context, but the best one is school or studying, a specific context for the lesson. And a quick way to build that, the third column,
Like a picture of a school and then ask them what did they study at school? I don't know.
Job interview.
job interview is a bit, yeah, you can relate, you can link it because this person is regretting something, I guess. So a picture, or if there are students still studying, you can ask them, how do you study? Do you study hard? Why not? Is it easy? Like a dialogue. You can just through like 2 or 3 questions or put them on a slide and students discuss that in 2 or 3 minutes and you listen to them like for a couple of minutes, then you move on with your lesson. Anyway, I'll leave you with the other 3 marker sentences. You just decide the tense or the structure. the general context, and you decide together as a group on a way you build this context. You can take a picture with your phones, picture of the screen. And in the breakout rooms, you decide the tense, the context, and the way to build this context for each sentence. Okay. So, ready? You have 5 minutes in the breakout rooms. And I'll pause the recording. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. I heard some very nice ideas in the breakout rooms. So for room 1, we had Colby, Florian, Marlon, Simon. You had a nice idea about he's cooking dinner right now or now. So can you tell me how you're going to build the context here, like the third column directly of you?
So we said would ask, what did you guys have for dinner last night? And like start a conversation around that.
Okay. The other room also had a very nice idea. David, can you share it with us?
About creating context. But it was based on the theme provided by Julia about a conversation amongst flatmates, or a scenario of flatmates, a bit like something from that TV series Friends. So who's cooking dinner tonight, or who's cooking dinner, and then you could say he's cooking dinner now. Yeah. Or when's so I don't know who the characters are, Chandler or whoever. When so and so cooking dinner, you can say he's cooking dinner now. It's okay. Don't worry. Dinner's coming.
So you just need to give them a little task before you play the video, because this is a classic mistake when people use videos. Sometimes they play the video, then they ask the students a question or two. So now you're checking their memories, not setting the context. You need to give them the task before you play the video or the audio, or you give them any kind of, give them the task or the question, then play the video. And this question should be related to cooking or to dinner or to meals. Okay. And it can be something personalized. For example, I tell them that one of my worst nightmares is to have to cook for somebody, because I just can boil some eggs, make some tea, and this is the maximum I can do the kitchen, the maximum. What about you? Can you cook? Something like that, and they discuss it together. So personalization is also an option. You talk about yourself for like 30 seconds to a minute, then you ask them the same to discuss in pairs or in groups for like 2-3 minutes. So that the whole lead-in stage shouldn't exceed like 3 to 5 minutes on a 45-minute lesson. So the lead-in stage, 5 minutes maximum with all its components in the lead-in stage. Lovely. So
Mohammed, maybe something about the lead-in. What if the lead-in contains vocabulary already? Like if it's useful vocabulary.
I honestly, Florian, I do not recommend rushing the target language in the lead-in. The lead-in should be some kind of humanistic stage to pull the students' legs into the lesson. Something kind of fun, something to reassure them, to get them to put on the English language hat. not to rush the target language like the vocabulary or the grammar in the lead-in stage. So we keep it simple.
Okay.
So the language will come later in other stages, in the coming stages somehow.
Yep.
So lead in, like, can you cook? I myself cannot. Are you planning to learn how to cook? Discuss it. Why not? Discuss it together. Something like that. Do not rush the target language in the beginning. Keep it humanistic in the lead in, not linguistic. The lead in is not a linguistic stage as much as a humanistic stage. Remember that. Pull their legs into the lesson without making them feel rushed to learn something. Okay. What's the tense here or the structure?
Present continuous.
Do you agree? You can just nod if you agree. Simon?
Yeah, I was in the same group. We put present continuous, yeah.
Okay. But I feel like Colby is the representative of the whole group. I need to get more answers from everybody. Okay, and the context here is, well, what do you think?
We put cooking or kitchen.
Okay. And maybe food, in general. It's okay. Okay, what about the second one? The second sentence? Julia, what did you agree on here? What's the structure?
Was it you? Yeah. The structure is used to,
Good job.
and the context. We were talking about routines that you had when you were a kid, for example.
So the word routine here is not like an accurate word, to be honest. Yep. The context can be sports, but this is about habits, not routine. Past habits.
Okay.
So routine when you were kids is I understand. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but it's about past habits. This is how we put it. Used to, past habits. It's kind of synonymous to routine in when you were young. Past habits is how we say it. Used to is about past habits, but here we're not talking about the meaning of um, the sentence. We're talking about the general context, which is sports, tennis. Because if you make it about past habits, maybe you will rush the students to use the target language that you are going to explain before you explain it. So what kind of sports do you like?
Wouldn't
This
that
can
be
be
used as a test to see the level?
um, not that early, guys. The lead-in stage should be kept humanistic. Maybe if you want to apply test, teach, test later on, it comes in the second stage, not right in the beginning. So we just need to pull their legs into the lesson during the lead-in. Remember the name of the stage in the beginning? Lead-in. No testing, no target language. Just something humanistic to make them feel kind of comfortable with the lesson. Okay, I understand your passion and you want to get everything ready, but the lead in should stay humanistic, and its aim is to set the context, not to test the student's level, not to clarify grammar, not to clarify vocabulary. It's called lead in, like warming them up in relation to the topic of the lesson, not even the target language. So the lead in is about the context or the topic or the theme. Remember, we agreed that context means topic. So target language will come later. Okay, so how are you gonna build the context here?
We had an idea of a conversation between parents watching their kids play tennis, and they're telling each other what they used to do.
So again, if they tell
Some
each other
images
what
of
they
two
used,
parents talking to each other.
if they tell each other what they used to do, that means they're going to use the target language. You're expecting them to use the target language before even you explain it.
Mm.
So what kind of sport? Keep it very simple. What kind of sport do you like? Which sports do you watch and why? Something very, very simple related to the context, the topic, not the target language. Remember that. I know it can be tricky. As teachers, we want to start the lesson very early. Like it's about used to today. I want to make them use used to early on. No, no. Take your time, let them enjoy the lead-in, talking about something they like or describing something they see on the screen without having them to use, without pushing them to use the target language in the first minute or in the first 5 minutes. Okay. So it can be a conversation, it can be a short video, you give them a question and they watch the video and they talk about what they like, what they don't like. Okay, so there are too much cars in the city. So what's the structure here? Something we teach at the starter level or at the elementary level.
Too much and too many, and countable and uncountable.
This is kind of vocabulary. So this is lexical meaning. The grammar part here is there is and there are for elementary students or starter. This is the structure. There is plus singular, there are plus plural. This is the grammar part. And what's the context? Marlene, welcome back. You're muted, Marlene. I cannot hear you. No, you're not muted, but we cannot hear you. Is it only me?
No, I can't hear either.
Your microphone is not maybe recognized. Still
There's something missing, Marilyn.
no sound. I cannot hear you. Yeah, I'm glad you can hear us. Can you hear us? Okay. Okay.
She's on mute.
Even when she unmutes, still no sound. Anyway, so what's the context here?
Traffic.
It can be traffic. It can be towns and cities. Okay. Lovely. So this is just a quick revision on how we set the context and the difference between the word context and target language. So the target language in the first sentence or the first marker sentence is the present continuous tense. The context is food or cooking or kitchen, whatever. The second one, the target language is used to. This is the structure. And the context or the topic is sports. Okay. So this is like a quick revision on like the context and target language. So when we teach grammar, this is like a SELTA thing. There's some kind of noise coming somewhere here. So the target language doesn't fall from the sky on the student. We do not just start saying, okay, today we're studying the present continuous. That doesn't happen. We just need to give them a lead-in stage. Then for this session, we will learn how to extract the target language from a situation, from a picture, from a video. After the lead-in, we use the lead-in after they have a discussion or they look at a picture and discuss something. We extract the target language from this picture or from the video or from the discussion, but it doesn't fall from the sky. And we never start our lessons by saying, today we're studying grammar, we're studying the present continuous, and listen to this sentence. He is cooking dinner now. He is cooking dinner now. Is plus verb plus ing. This is the present continuous. We never do that in the modern techniques. We need to keep it humanistic in the beginning, and from the lead-in or from the situation we created, we need to extract the marker sentence and start the clarification stage. Okay, so we build the lesson this way: humanistic, then linguistic. Situational presentation or present practice produce. We start with the lead-in, we set the context, then we use this context later on after the first 5 minutes of the lead-in or the 6 minutes in the lead-in. We extract the marker sentence and we start our clarification. We pull the target language or the marker sentence out of the context we presented in the first 5 minutes, or we let them discuss in the beginning, the lead-in stage. The second task for us today, we're going to watch a video for James Scrivener. Who knows James Scrivener? He is the one who created, or he wrote like some very famous methodology books, and he is delivering a situational presentation stage, video showing us how to extract the marker sentence or some marker sentences in the present practice produce approach. Just 5 minutes. But before we watch the video, remember what I told you earlier today? Before you play any video, you give your students a clear task. And I'm doing this now. If you look at the screen, I need you to look at question 1. What was the context in the video we are going to watch? And what materials did he use to elicit the target language? Have you heard the word elicit before on this course?
Yep.
So elicit is another word. it's a fancy Celta word for ask. When we elicit, we take from the students. We ask the students. But elicit is a bit bigger and deeper than ask, because we might show them something and they give us what they see without even asking a direct question. So elicit is asking the students or discovering what they know. So what materials did he use to elicit the structure or the target language? And how effective? This is your opinion, how effective it was. How many times did the teacher model the sentences before the students repeated them? What do we mean by model?
Say the sentence out loud so then the students can hear how to pronounce it.
Excellent answer, Colby. So modeling is the teacher saying the sentence, drilling, the students repeating the sentence. So model and drill. Model is by the teacher to make sure that the students listened to the correct pronunciation. Then they drill. They repeat after you as a teacher. This is drilling. Okay. What different interaction patterns were used for drilling? And drilling means students repeating the sentence. And how did the teacher deal with the mistakes? So let me, if you want to take a picture here, let me, you take a picture of the 6 questions.
Did
Something
you
to
send that?
take.
Sorry.
I will upload that. I will upload that in the input sessions folder. But for now, we can.
In the chat for the Zoom, if you could copy paste them so we have them there.
Okay, good idea.
Thank you.
You can also use your phones if you want to have them on your where is the chat box? Yes. Okay. So now watch the 5 minutes and take notes trying to answer these questions while watching. Ready? Okay. So let me share screen. Have you seen Jim Scrivener before?
Look at this picture. This is Kamal.
Is the sound clear? Okay.
Kamal. Kamal. Where does he work?
Supermarket?
Is that a supermarket?
No, it's a stall.
A stall, yes. A stall is a little shop. It's not a big shop like a supermarket. A little shop. A stall. He works in a stall, yes. I'm going to tell you about an ordinary day for Kamal. Every day.
He get up in 5 o'clock.
Sveta?
He get up in 5 o'clock.
Okay, the idea is good. Can you make the sentence better?
He get up at 5 o'clock.
At, good. At 5 o'clock. Okay, this word. Listen. Okay, Runa?
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Very good. Listen. He gets up at 5 o'clock. Listen. He gets up at 5 o'clock. Everybody?
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Very good. Again?
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Okay, you sound a little bit bored. Try and sound more interested. He gets up at 5 o'clock.
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Okay?
He gets up at 5
Gets.
up at 5 o'clock. He gets up at
You're saying gates. Listen. Gets up.
Gets up.
Gets up. He gets up.
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Good. Tell Daniel. Tell Daniel.
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Okay, good, thank you. Tell Bruno.
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
At
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Okay, I hear 5 o'clock. Listen. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Good. Sentence?
He get up. He he get up. He gets up at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
Okay, quickly.
He gets up at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
Good. Okay, very good. Okay.
He
takes a coffee.
drinks.
He takes a coffee.
Takes.
Drinks.
Okay.
He drinks a cup of coffee.
Okay. Tell Francesca.
He drinks a cup of coffee.
Francesca.
He drinks a cup of coffee.
Good. Very good. Okay.
He's
cycling.
bicycling to job.
How does he go to work? How does he go to work?
He
Francesca?
rides your bike.
My bike?
His bike.
Okay, that's possible. You can say he rides his bike. Can you think of one word that has the same meaning?
Cycling.
Okay. It's the right verb, but the wrong form. He...
Cycle.
Sveta?
Cycle. He cycle on walk. He cycles on walk. To walk.
Okay, sentence?
He cycles to walk.
Good, okay. Bruna, same sentence?
He cycles and walk. To walk.
Okay,
He cycles to walk.
good. Okay.
He
Lazar?
cycles to walk.
Yes, you're saying to. Listen. To work.
To walk.
To work. He cycles to work.
He cycles to walk.
Okay, good. Tell the person next to you. Tell the person next to you.
He cycles to
He
walk.
cycles to work.
He cycles to walk.
Okay, go back to the beginning. Can you remember the first sentence about Kamal? I write his name. There's his name, Kamal. Can you remember the first sentence?
Kamal gets up.
No, before that we had another
Kamal
sentence.
works in store.
Okay, so remember that sentence, then this, then this, then this. Tell the person next to you all the sentences.
Kamal works in store. He gets up at 5 o'clock.
Okay. So let's go back to the questions. In the chat box, question number 1. I need 7 answers in the chat box. Store, not stall. Store. Florian, like market, supermarket.
Sounds
Sounds
like
like
a market stall or something.
Wasn't in a
I
market
think
store?
he was talking about store. Yes, Simon, thank you. Okay, Colby, yes, routine. Okay, work. But it's about daily routine. Kamal's daily routine. Lovely. That was the context. Good job. Okay. Good job, Marlene. Number 2. What did he actually use? In the chat box as well. Okay, Julia. Okay. Yes, if you remember the ways we had in the beginning to set the context, Jim Scrivener skillfully used a mix of visuals. He used pictures and board drawings and miming, right? And he drew a bicycle very quickly, like very simply. It's not, it doesn't have to be like a complicated drawing or so pictures, board drawings, and miming. Okay. Do you think it was effective? Did it help him elicit the marker sentences or take the marker sentences from the students? So he didn't throw the marker sentences at the students, he elicited them from the class using visual pictures and board drawings, miming when he yawned and he gets up at 5 and so on. He elicited that. And that's the first step when it comes to teaching grammar. Elicit. Try to take the marker sentence from the students. You give them some, help, some clues, and you get the marker sentence from the students. If they didn't give you the marker sentence, it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. You can just give it to them, no problem. But you at least try to elicit. Elicit or elicitation is one of the criteria on the CELTA course, trying to get something from the students. This interaction, you give them effective clues, take something from them. This is elicitation. You give the clues, they give you something, the marker sentence in our case. Okay, so question number 3. How many times did Jim model the sentences before he asked the students to repeat? You didn't count, right? 2 times, 3 times, modeling, like giving an example, how we say the sentence, you model it for the students, usually 2 times or 3 times. If the sentence is complicated, you might say it 4 times. He gets up at 5. And don't do it this way. He gets up at 5. He gets up at 5. No, do it naturally. He gets up at 5. Listen, he gets up at 5. Because some teachers just repeat it very quickly 3, 4 times. No, do it naturally. He gets up at 5. He cycles to work. He cycles to work. Repeat after me. He cycles to work. Some teachers do it this way. He cycles to work. He cycles to work. He cycles to work. This is like they do it robotically. No, do it naturally, as if you want them to hear it. You don't have to slow down. You say it just naturally. So 2, 3 times, maybe 4 times, no problem. Then you ask them to drill. So when students repeated the sentences, what different interaction patterns were used in the drilling? What are types of drilling here?
Do you want us just answering in the chat?
You can answer that like voice. You don't have to write all that. What do you think, Colby?
He first called out the students' names individually to elicit, and then as a group, and then also got the students to like ask another student or tell another student one of the routines, and then they did all the routines in pairs.
Okay, Colby, do you agree with that, David?
It's hard to argue with Colby because he's usually right. But seriously, yeah.
Okay. Florian, what do you think? The interaction patterns with drilling, what happened?
I agree with Colby as well. So I think
Colby,
he
what are you doing to them, Colby? Are you mafia? Everybody is saying Colby is right, What happened?
Yeah, she transferred me some money on Bitcoin, so I had to agree with her.
We're all going to be working for her after this.
It's very different off camera. Off camera, it's a whole different story.
Do you do you have a position for me, Colby? Like everybody is worried and they worship you. Anyway, Simon, what do you think? I need a different
Yeah,
answer, to be honest.
Oh,
Because I
mine was actually
myself do not
faster.
agree 100% with Colby here. Maybe I'm gonna pay for that later, but I'm not 100%.
Repeat what you said, Colby? Oh, sorry.
Oh.
That's all right.
He also uses the fingers to make them repeat the sentence properly.
Okay. Okay. Good job. Finger highlighting. This is a technique. Marlon, is your mic? Oh, no, not yet. It's not working. I cannot hear you. Marlon, if you want to leave the meeting and come back, maybe it works and you close Zoom altogether and you try. And it's recorded anyway. You can come back to this part anytime. Let me tell you how I do it in my class because I do not agree with everything that happened in the 5 minutes. I start with choral drilling, like I mean whole class drilling, because this boosts the students' confidence. If I call students like individually in the beginning that was too fast, Marlon. You didn't switch anything off. She came back. Hello, Marlon? Oh no, not yet. Your mobile phone was working. We heard you earlier. So when it comes to drilling, I start with whole class drilling. After I model it 2 times or 3 times and the class listened, I let the whole class repeat or drill the marker sentence. Why? It's safer for the students. I don't start with individual drilling. Until they get familiar with the structure, they're saying it together, like in the crowd. I didn't put anyone in the limelight, so they're saying it together. Much safer for them psychologically. Then I can use group drilling, like only boys. Repeat after me. He gets up at 5. Then only girls, only people in black. So these are variations to drilling, group drilling. Only people on the right, students in the back, in the left, like whatever you want. It doesn't have like a rule here. Then you can try individual drilling. Okay? Individual drilling when you call a name. After they practiced in the whole class, chorally, after they practiced in groups, then individually. And there is something else called substitutional drilling or substitution drilling. So Kamal gets up at 5. What about you? Like Ahmed or David gets up. Tell me, David, when do you get up? Like David said at 6. So, okay, David gets up at 6. So now we change 2 things, the word Kamal and at 5. This is substitutional drilling. It's the same verb with different things, like David instead of Kamal, 6 instead of 5, and so on. So what about you, Florian? Florian said at 6 as well. Okay, they get up at 6. Repeat after me. They get up at 6. So this is called substitution drilling. We talked about choral drilling or whole class drilling, then group drilling when a group in the class repeats after you and you decide how you call them. And the third is individual drilling after the students practiced twice in choral and in group, then individual drilling, and you can do the substitution drilling or not. By the way, teaching online is not the best when it comes to drilling. Because when you ask the whole class, if you have a big number of students in the class, like 15, and you say the sentence and you open the mics for them to drill, it feels kind of messy. If you have 8, 10 students, yes, let's try choral drilling, then group drilling maybe. And if you try individual drilling, you just pick 1 or 2 students to do that. You don't go one by one. That will waste a lot of time. Class drilling or choral drilling, everybody. David, are you? Is your okay? Come back, man. Did you get your coffee? Closed your eyes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I thought that your screen was frozen, but you were just relaxing, right?
Yes, just
I
relax.
feel,
My ears are open. Yeah.
I feel for you. I feel for you, but you are encouraging us to just, all relax now.
My apologies. You're
No,
doing
it's okay.
you're doing a much tougher job. It's very, very late there.
Yeah.
Marilyn.
Okay, amazing. So what happened again? He elicited through visuals. He elicited the marker sentence through visuals. And it was like we had 3 or 4 marker sentence. It's about work. It's about getting up, about how he goes to work. So we had like 3 or 4 marker sentences. And this level is elementary. They are A2. So, and you think the visuals were effective. It helped students, produce or give him the marker sentences. We can let number 5 and 6 go because we have sessions on error correction later on. So we might not talk about how he dealt with mistakes now. What aspects of pronunciation were focused on? Like linking some words and adding S. He focused on that very lightly. So let me just clarify how we should do it in our TPs, because this is what matters to you, right? How we do it in the TP. We agreed that the marker sentence was elicited from a situation or from pictures or from a video whatsoever. So what's the first stage in the situational presentation lesson framework? The same as any other framework. Eden.
Yeah.
That's the first stage. I don't want you to go mental when you organize your lessons. So we start with the lead-in. Any lesson during CELTA, after CELTA, starts with the lead-in, and we agreed it should be humanistic to set the context and engage the students. After that, he started the clarification stage, language clarification. He used the pictures to do 4 things, or to clarify 3 things: meaning, pronunciation, and form. This is how or what we need to clarify, the 3 aspects of the target language: meaning, pronunciation, and form. Clarify, meaning, for use, pronunciation, and form. When it comes to grammar, these are the three main aspects that we need to clarify for each structure. Its meaning or its use, this is number one. Was it clarified effectively in this video? I want you to be honest. Did you feel like he clarified the use of the present simple, or was it just touched on very quickly?
Very quickly.
I feel like it was, it was ignored somehow. He said, we're talking about Kamal's daily routine, and that's it. To me, he just used the context very quickly, but he didn't check their understanding of the meaning, and he moved on to the pronunciation directly. See? So we needed to make sure before they repeat, before any drilling, we need to make sure that the students understood the meaning. So he needed to ask them a question like, is it a habit? Like he goes to work or he wakes up at 5 or he gets up at 5. We needed to make sure that the students understand what this structure is about. When do we use it? What's its function, right? So is it a habit? Does it happen every day? Is it repeated? And he works in a store. Is this a permanent situation? They need to say yes. Even if they said no, we tell them. So did it happen yesterday? Will it happen tomorrow? Will it happen the day after tomorrow? Is it permanent? And he needed maybe to draw a timeline. Did you get the CCQs session? Did you get the timelines session before? So he needed to use something to consolidate the use of this tense. For example, he needed to draw something like that. This is a timeline, a very simple timeline. And there is a book to help you with timelines. Concept checking questions and timelines. Don't have to remember all the timelines and memorize them. No. So he goes to work or he wakes up at 5. This is how we present a timeline for habits. So it happened yesterday, the day before, a week ago. It happened this morning. It will happen tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. It's habit. This is how we present a habit on the timeline. This is 5 a.m. 5 a.m. every day. This is his habit. Okay, 5 a.m. All of them. So how can we present a permanent situation on the timeline? He works in a store. This is how we present it. Like, it's a permanent situation. I live in Cairo. It's a permanent situation. It's not a repeated action. Permanent situation. Like a line on top of the timeline. Okay? And you will find that in the, I don't want you to memorize anything. You will find this in the concept checking questions and timelines reference. You don't have to memorize, to be honest. When I'm teaching grammar, I go check what I'm teaching in references before I go to class. In the language analysis sheet, I put some notes for myself and so on. You don't have to memorize anything. Just prepare yourself while planning. So if I draw a timeline and I ask some CCQs like, is it a habit? Does it happen every day? Is it some kind of routine? What are we clarifying using the timelines and the CCQs? What are we covering here? In the chat box, you can add your answers in the chat box. If we're using timelines and CCQs, what aspect are we clarifying? Okay. Meaning, or in our case here, meaning and use. So what aspect comes after the meaning in the language clarification stage? We clarify something else after we clarify the meaning and check understanding.
Pronunciation.
Who's that?
Me.
Name? Marlin? Is it Marlin?
Julia.
Marlin is still not. Julia. Okay. Thank you, Julia.
No worries.
Marlin is still unable to communicate with us. Is it the first time this happens? Maybe it's me. I'm sorry.
No, we can't hear her either. It's the first time she's ever had a problem like this with her mic.
Maybe, yeah, because it's the first time you ever have me, you know? I feel guilty now.
I see, yes. There's a strong logic there, yeah.
Maybe if you take your headphones out, Marilyn, and just use your computer's microphone. No? All right.
I guess she's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, we agreed that we start with meaning when it comes to clarification. Then pronunciation, we model and drill the target language. Then after that, what should we do after we clarify meaning and pronunciation? We do some modeling and drilling with the students. There is another aspect that is very important to be clarified. Do you agree with David? Type on in the chat box if you agree with David. David said it's the form.
Yes.
So again, those 5 minutes, Jim Scrivener didn't do all that because he was just showing us how he elicited, modeled, and drilled, and so on. Just showing you the idea. But this is not enough. If you watch the coming 5 minutes in his lesson, you would have seen some checking, a timeline, and form clarification. And he did some kind of form clarification using finger highlighting technique. He gets up at 5 o'clock. So he showed them how the sentence is formed. Subject, verb, object, or the rest of the sentence. He gets up at 5 o'clock. He gets up at, this is the verb, or he cycles to work. To work. Work. Repeat after me. Now, all of you. Work.
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 To work.
To work.
Cycles to work.
Cycles to work.
He cycles to work.
He
cycles to work.
This is a technique in drilling called back chaining. If you want to write that down, back chaining.
Back chaining?
Yes. Some methodologists invented that in order to make the students focus on the pronunciation, because when you say the sentence backwards, it doesn't make any sense in meaning. So their ears are just listening. They're not distracted with exactly one word, Marlin. Or there is a hyphen, back chaining, or one word without the hyphen. It's not 2 words. Back chaining. Let me type that. Okay. Clock. Repeat after me. Everybody. Clock.
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 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Up at 5 o'clock.
Up at 5 o'clock.
5
Gets up at 5 o'clock.
Gets
Gets
up
up
at
at 5 o'clock.
He gets up at 5 o'clock.
He
He
gets
gets
up
up at 5 o'clock.
So this is back chaining. It doesn't make any sense, except that your ears are really listening what is happening. So this is a technique for drilling called back chaining. We do it with structures that are not very complicated. You will not be able to do that with conditionals, for example. It's going to be crazy if you do it with conditionals. You yourself would forget. Very long. 2 clauses. Okay. So now let's recap. We start with the meaning and use clarification. If we have a tense, we can use a timeline. Then we ask a few questions like, is it a habit? Is it like repeated? Something to check their understanding. After that, we model and drill. Then we highlight the form. You can use your finger techniques, your finger highlighting technique, like you show them the order. Then finally, you write it on the board. You write the marker sentence, then you write the form. What's the grammar name for he? I'm going to show you. So, meaning, pronunciation, and form. The main 3 aspects that you need to clarify are meaning, pronunciation, and form. MPF. And there are 4 steps to do that. We call them E, C, D, W. Elephants can drink water. Elicit. Remember, he elicited using visuals. He elicited the marker sentence or the marker sentences from them. Elicit. Then you need to concept check, like some concept checking questions to check understanding, or you use a timeline if it's a tense. Then model and drill. And finally, you write that on the board. Elephants can drink water. When it comes to meaning, pronunciation, and form, we use this pattern to help us organize the clarification stage. Elicit, concept check, model and drill, finally write. Then we give them, we write that on the board, like we can say, he cycles to work. Okay, we do this with the students. What's the grammar name for he? The grammar word.
Subject.
Excellent. Plus the grammar name for cycles.
Verb.
Excellent. So with he, she, it, what do we add to the verb?
Yes.
Or es. Plus the rest of the sentence, or you write object. So I didn't ask the students, can you tell me what part of a speech is he? I want you to notice my questioning technique. I said, what's the grammar name for he? I didn't use big words. What kind of word, what part of a speech is, no. What's the grammar name for he? The simplest question ever. I didn't ask them, can you tell me what the, no. What's the grammar name for he? What about cycles? And that's it. So present practice, produce. This is, we didn't use any text here. He used visuals. Let's recap. This is present, practice, produce framework. He used pictures and he mined to elicit the marker sentence. Then he modeled and drilled, and he should have clarified the meaning. If the video was longer than that, clarify the meaning. Use a timeline if it's a tense. Use CCQs if it's structure. You can use both if it's a tense like present simple. Then you move on to modeling and drilling. Then finally you write the sentence on the board and highlight the form. So what happens after the clarification stage or the presentation stage? Some practice and some production. Okay. We give you tasks in the book to help your students practice and produce. But the quality of the clarification stage is all about meaning, use, pronunciation, and the form. And that's the core of the situational presentation. We have another session. We will take a 15-minute break. And we will have another session on teaching grammar as well. We're going to see a different technique. Do you have any questions? So quickly, what do we start the lesson with? What's the name of the stage?
Lead-in.
Lead-in.
Excellent. Is it humanistic or linguistic?
Humanistic.
We just engage the students and allow them to know about the theme of the day or the theme of the lesson without having them to produce the target language we're going to clarify. The clarification is yet to happen. Then the presentation stage or the language clarification, what are the three aspects we need to clarify?
Meaning, pronunciation, and
form. So do we clarify meaning first or pronunciation first? What makes more sense?
Meaning first.
Meaning and use first, because I don't care about pronouncing something I don't know its meaning. I need to know what it means first. Remember that. Meaning comes first. Psychologically, I don't want to learn how we say blah, blah, blah without knowing what it means. This is how it's organized in the human brain. Meaning, then how we say it, then tell me how to put it together. But meaning comes first. Okay? Meaning, pronunciation, and form. What are the steps we use to organize the clarification stage?
ECDW, is that it?
Excellent. Elicit, check, model and drill, and finally write. Don't write first. Because when we were at school, our teachers always started with writing. And this is against learning. Writing comes later. Especially with vocabulary, by the way. I still have some students in Egypt say, I don't know, instead of I don't know. Why? Because they saw the written form first. And their brains got the K to be pronounced. It was their first time to see it when they were kids. It was fossilized. Please write later after you clarify the meaning and pronunciation. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please shoot. We have another session after 15 minutes.
Thank you.
No questions? Okay. See you in 15 minutes. I will upload the material and the short video and everything later on. Okay. See you.